This is question 5 on the Unit 1 foundation paper, June 2011. Danny and Ed are in the same quiz team. In each round, a person can score up to 10 points. Danny's scores have been 1, 1, 10, 2, 10, 1 and 3. Ed's scores have a range of 3. Ed has a mean score of 5. We've got to compare the two scores. So we've got Danny and we've got Ed. For Ed, we know his range was 3 and his mean was 5. So drawing a little table here, and what we're going to have to do is to work out those two things for Danny so we can do a comparison. Now the range is the biggest value, take away the smallest value. So the range for Danny is going to be the biggest one, which is 10, take away the smallest one, which is 1. So Danny's range will be 9. The mean is when you add them all up and then divide by how many there are. So for Danny, we need to add up all of these numbers. 1 and 1 is 2, add 10 is 12, that makes 14, 24, 25, 28 if we add them up. And we then need to divide by how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 28 divided by 7 is 4. So we've now got the same information about both of these players. We have the mean and the range for both Danny and Ed. That will get you some marks. But we've got to compare them. We've actually got to write some sentences, some words down about them. Well, if we have a look at who's got the highest mean, the highest mean means that person scores more points on average. So if we look at this, Danny a mean of 4, Ed a mean of 5, we can certainly say that Ed has a higher mean score. So that's a sentence we can write down. We've said about the mean. We also then need to write something about the range. If the range is big, that means sometimes he was very, very good. Or Danny, might be a she. Sometimes they're very, very good, and sometimes they're not very good at all. And you see, sometimes they're full marks, sometimes they're only 1. They're very unreliable. So that's what the range is. It's a measure of how reliable something is, or how much variation there is. So we can say that Danny has a higher range, has a much higher range. And that means Danny's scores are more varied. So Danny has a much higher range. We can say Danny's scores are more varied, or are much more varied. But there are 5 marks here, so you want to try and write down quite a bit of information. There'll be 1 mark for working out Danny's range and mean, and then if there are another 5 marks we're looking for, so we really want to write down 3 more things ideally. So we said higher mean, higher range, that should have been a much higher, the word higher should have been in there, and more varied. Now at the bottom it says, in the final round only 1 person can play. The team needs 9 points to win. Whom would you choose, Danny or Ed? And give a reason for your answer. Well, we know that Danny can score 10 points. We don't know what Ed's scores were, but we do know that Ed averaged 5, had a range of 3. That means that Ed's scores could never be more than 3 away from here. So Ed's maximum score would be 3 plus 5, which is 8. So Ed never scored that many. So if you want to score 9 points, I think you would use Danny, because we know Danny has scored that many points in the past. So if we say Danny has scored 9 or more, well, he scored 10 actually, 10 in the past, and we actually know that Ed has never scored that many, has not scored so high, I think that would be enough to write down for that question, and it's only a 1 mark question anyway.